You know, what's happened in the last 50 years, sexual revolution, no-fault divorce, now redefining marriage. People say, well, you know, it's not such a big deal. It is a big deal. Well, how does it affect your marriage? All of it affects our marriage because it presupposes a completely different understanding of what marriage is. Listen, what I'm about to read here from the Book of Common Prayer will sound familiar to you, and until half a century ago was utterly non-controversial. Dearly beloved, we are gathered together here in the sight of God and in the face of this congregation to join together this man and this woman in holy matrimony, which is an honorable estate instituted of God. Okay, there we go. Who defines marriage? God. Who gets to decide what marriage is? God. Marriage is a pre-political institution, meaning the government sees it has a vested interest in recognizing certain relationships as marriage, but government does not create what marriage is. And in the name of liberty, to give to the government that right is to cede to them a vast amount of power. Instituted of God in the time of man's innocence, signifying unto us the mystical union that is betwixt, that's a good word, that is betwixt Christ and his church. If marriage signifies Christ and his church, Ephesians 5, then there must be a difference. A man and a man cannot signify Christ in the church. A man and a woman, that difference yet complementarity is what signifies the uniqueness and their different roles and relationships as Christ and the church. That glory that marriage is meant to display can only be manifest. The man and a woman, which holy estate Christ adorned and beautified with his presence, and the first miracle that he wrought in Cana of Galilee, is commended of St. Paul to be honorable among all men, and therefore is not by any to be enterprised, nor taken in hand unadvisedly, lightly, or wantonly. Goes on to say we must duly consider the causes of matrimony, for which it was ordained. First, it was ordained for the procreation of children. Now, if that is indeed one of, not all, but one of the purposes for marriage, then that is going to go a long way to defining what sort of marriage is actually marriage. For the procreation of children. At times, because of age, because of infirmity, because of medical issues, children will not issue forth from a marriage. But saying the very constitution of the relationship is one that should be able to bring forth life. Secondly, it was ordained for a remedy against sin to avoid fornication. Third, it was ordained for the mutual society, help, and comfort that the one ought to have of the other in prosperity and adversity. We are confused not only about divorce, but about marriage itself. And when we as Christians accept unbiblical divorces as a light, trivial thing, we are sowing the seeds of our own destruction and the undermining of marriage, which we profess to care so much about.